Watch Nighttiger Comics!
Watch Tiger Comics.
Tiger Comics!
Nighttiger Comics!
Tiger Comics!
What? Nighttiger Comics?
Yeah!
Back, comic book junkies. I got what you need if you're looking for a fix or to satisfy that 7-day itch. I got what you need because I got comics. And I got old comics, which are my favorite. We're going to kick this little bit of a haul off with some Golden Age. I finally got my first issue, a payoff. And this is from September 1948, number 2, from DS Publishing, which is kind of a smaller publisher out of the Golden Age. I think they had around 9 titles. Most of the series that they had never reached probably number 5 or 6. But they did have crime, they did have some horror, and they also had some Western. And a lot of their titles are sought after. They're really cool. I never actually thought that I'd own an issue of Payoff. I've been looking at them for a while. They're always expensive, but I actually happened to win an auction for, I think $9 I won this for. And haggling over some other stuff with the seller, he put, it was supposed to be free shipping, and he added shipping to my invoice, which I was not happy with, and I couldn't get him to take it off. But paying $18 for this, it was definitely worth it. He didn't get a good review, but I got the book. And just to know, I won another one yesterday night for $6 and total of $8 shipping. So I won issue 4. So now I have 2, and I'm so happy with that. Really cool looking crime book. I love the name of the title, Payoff. I mean, look at that. Just love that title name. Okay, so I got my 3rd EC book that I own. This is the second horror one. I found one for $1 at a flea market. It's actually an annual with no cover. Then I found another one for 35 cents. The History of America, which was actually published under the first founder. Then these horror ones were done under his son after he died and his son took over the company. So this is Haunt of Fear number 28 from 1954. And for some reason, the CLZ app only goes up to 23. For such a iconic and well-known series, I don't understand why that is an issue for the app, but oh well. I picked this up for Mile High Comics. They had it listed for $20 on eBay. So I said, you know what? An eBay Haunt of Fear for $20? I'm all over this book. And the cover is detached, but I got some archival tape. I think I'm going to try to fix it up a little bit. So that's keeping with the holiday of Halloween theme. So next is another low-grade copy book I bought because it had a detached cover and it was so inexpensive. I thought, hey, I'll fix this one up too. This is not one I've seen before out of the series, Prize Comics 54, one of the later issues. It does change. I think issue 69, it changes to Prize Western Comics. So just cool. It was $20 also, and it was a detached cover. With a spine split, so I'm going to fix that up. Love Prize Comics, and if I can get them cheap, early issues, I'll take them in any grade as long as the whole cover is there, and the back cover, and the book is complete. And Bubs, you know what I'm talking about, don't you? So the next few books I showed in the live show with Steve Caldwell of I Love Disney and Comics when we did some horror covers. These I picked up at a con years ago. I think I paid 40 cents for them, but these cold covers are just so cool. And I think this is a John Severin cover. Yep, says Severin right there. Beautiful werewolf cover, and this book is a high grade. It's like a 9.4. So to get this for 40 cents, I'm happy. My Honey Hole had 2 or 3 more issues of this, and I was debating whether to buy them. They were kind of a lower grade. I had a lot of spine ticks and some creases. I might just go back and pick them up for $2.50. But this one is just so beautiful. I thought I'd throw them in here to kind of even out the haul, because I got like 4 hauls to do, and this one was a little bit shy of some books. Now, Steve did show these off in his video yesterday, but these are cool. You just can't deny. Look at that TheLCS Doom with the skull cover. Beautiful. I don't know who does this one, but I'm not even going to guess. But the blues and everything is just very cool. Love Cole. Cole is a really great series if you have not attempted to read it. I came in late to the game and started reading it a few years ago, and I was just really blown away by it. This one has a zombie armies on it. Just look at the immense detail in that book. Skulls and armor and axes and blood, and just got everything. Yeah, I know Steve did show this one off. These next two he showed off. Another beautiful, I think, yeah, that's another John Severin cover. Just look at the detail in there. Look at all the monsters, the TheLCS Doom in the background. Oh, it's gorgeous. The demon hordes of TheLCS Doom. And then I think this next one will be the last one. Another beautiful, this is an Ernie Chan cover, 1978. TheLCS Doom skull, imprisoned in a glass cube. This one I picked up also at that Comic-Con a couple years ago for 40 cents. You filled up a long box. I think it was $75, and it was all copper and Bronze Age books. You can stuff that box as much as you want, and it was $75. I think I stuffed 2 boxes. And then he had on the side, you could stuff Silver Age, and it was $150 a box. But you could stuff it until you couldn't put another comic in it. And this is a Marvel Spotlight on the Son of Satan, so this is his second appearance in the title. Very cool cover, John Romita. And then number 18, which is a Gil Kane cover. This one's a really high grade. Pretty cool. And the next one is also another one that I got in that con. But these were the horror covers, so I thought I'd throw them in here. This is a Neil Adams. Batman dies, true identity revealed as Bruce Wayne, and you got Death right there calling him. Out of my way, Adam, Death is calling, and nothing can change the future. You only die twice. And this is really when Neil Adams was coming to his own, starting to draw Batman. I believe this is 1974. I didn't put the information on that book. I should have. But this one is March 74, and you got a Marvel, you got Werewolf by Night, number 15, versus Dracula. And that is a Michael Plough cover. Very iconic. Screams Marvel Bronze Age horror like you couldn't believe. Okay, so the next ones I picked up were, I went to the LCS yesterday. This is the LCS. They've been doing really well since they started probably like 5 years ago. They had a little bit of a smaller store, and then they moved to a bigger one. They opened a second store in another town, which did pretty well, but they had some other issues that were going against them. Stuff that had to do with the sign and things with the city. So they closed the store down, and they just opened this other one, which was just newer, and they moved to this just huge new place. And they do everything now: video games, DVDs. They do, of course, Magic, The Gathering, and then, of course, comic books. So ever since they moved and grew and expanded, it's harder to find a deal at the store. They start to price things a little high, and finding good dollar books is really tough. This one didn't have a price on it when I brought it up. And usually their motto is, if it doesn't have a price, then it's a dollar book. But he did look it up, and then he did say $1 because I was not going to take it for any more than that. But oh my goodness, you need to pick this up. Forbidden Tales of Dark Mansion number 15. Now, when I opened this up, and after the splash page with the host of the book, the next story was the one that says here, A Sleigh Ride with Santa. And you notice it says Sleigh, S-L-A-Y. The shocker of the year, and that is the truth. I looked to see who wrote the story before I started reading it. It said Michael Fleischer, and I said, okay, we're in for a good story. We're in for a definite ride with this because he's been known, because he wrote this title, he's been known to push the boundaries of the comic code. And he did with this story that he wrote in here. And oh my goodness, I cannot believe that this story made it past the code. Because I'm going to tell you, because this will be a spoiler, the street Santa in here actually brings this little girl to his apartment, promising her toys. And he hangs her to steal her money because he's like this really low-life guy who's trying to make it. His rent is past due. And he's leaving the apartment, and you see the girl swinging from the ceiling. This little girl, like 8 or 9 years old. I was like, what the heck? And then later on, the landlord, trying to get the rent, breaks into his apartment while he's gone and sees the girl hanging. And they depicted a pretty big picture of it. I was like, how the heck did this get away in the comic code? The art was really great. The story was awesome. And then the next story was an adaptation of Nathaniel Hawthorne's Feathertop. If you don't know what that is, it's a short story about a witch who makes this scarecrow, and she's so enamored with her work that she actually turns him into a real person and gives him a pipe, and he has to keep smoking the pipe to stay alive. Reminiscent of kind of like Pinocchio. For some reason, she has a beef with the local judge, so she sends the scarecrow, this guy here, into town to woo the daughter of the judge. And everybody's charmed and enamored with him as he walks by. The girl falls in love with him, but then he walks in front of this mirror and he really sees who he is. And he runs home begging the witch to let him be the scarecrow, because he saw his inner self and he thought, the best he could be was a scarecrow. He wasn't worthy enough to be a man. Pretty cool story. I'd never heard of it before. The art was really good. I tell you, this is one of the best Forbidden Tales of Dark Mansion that I've read. And I think I've spent a lot of time on that book, but I was just so excited about it. Felt like reading an actual EC horror book. Now, I don't think I've ever read any issues of these, but I picked them up because they were $1. They were Bronze Age DC, and they were giants. And a couple of these, there's 3 out of 2 of them, I had to really press out some bad spine rolls on them. So this is number 23. They're kind of like a humor book, kind of like Mad or Cracked. I think that was their attempt to go against or compete with Marvel. This is number 21. Another giant. And these were from 1976. And then I got one more, number 24. Very cool. It's cool. I mean, it looks very Bronze Ageist to me. That's what I like. I like to see the trade dress and the art on these books on the 1970s. It just looks so cool to me. So these were all $1. This one and the one before the last, I had to press big spine rolls on them. And then this one, for some reason, I don't know what it is. It was to do with the print run. I never see 1, 2, 4, or 6 in back issue bins. I always see 3 and 5 all the time. And this is another Ernie Chan 1978 cover. Really cool cover too. Anybody ever watched this show? I know the Gray Man did. He said he tried to swim like him. He had a unique way of swimming, which actually made you swim faster, but it was also more tiring. So I stopped by the antique store. I had a few dollars. I wanted to see if they had any more new books. Another vendor who puts out a lot of Dells and stuff, he did fill up his box with a few more new editions. So this one I hardly ever see in back issue bins. This is from July 1959, Sergeant Bilko's Private Doberman. I did watch this show. I watched it religiously because it is really, really funny. So just cool to have one of these issues. This is the first one that I own. Man, I'd love to find more of these, but it seems like they want too much money for them. There's a couple series that's early Silver Age, kind of like TV show books, that are really tough to find that are from DC, like Charlie Chan actually had a series by DC. Who else? Of course, Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis, the early issues before it just became Jerry Lewis. Those ones are tough to find. Bob Hope. So the last books, I bought a lot, or I won an auction off eBay and won a lot of almost the entire run of Inhumans. I think I'm missing number 11 and number 4. But all these are doubles except for 2. I was actually going after this because of a certain book in the lot. So this is number 10. Now, I can't tell you a whole lot about these later ones because I haven't read these for so long. I think it's been about 15 years since I've read this series. This is one of the most iconic covers out of it, and this just happens to be one of the higher grades books out of it too. Gil Kane, and I don't know who's Dick. It's Gil Kane and D.A. So whoever that is. That's just a stunning cover, though. It's one of my favorites. I love this run, too. And this run is George Perez art. Early George Perez. He was just developing his style. This one I remember reading. They're doing battle on these bugs. These bugs are actually entire cities on a planet, and they continue to burrow through the planet. And they end up battling another bug city. Another beautiful Gil Kane cover, too. Number 7 from 1976. Then you got this one. And a lot of these are high grade. I think only 2 of them are really low grade. Black Bolt goes wild. So you can see he's fighting his own Inhumans. Bedlam in the Great Refuge. Number 6. Number 5. Of course, Magnus. He's called Magnus is it the Madden? I don't remember. Okay, number 5 of the Inhumans, another beautiful Gil Kane cover. Magnus has finally won, captured his brother, the king, so that he can rule. And then number 3, which was one of the lower grade ones out of here. I won this for $32, so it wasn't bad. I was actually shocked to see some of these at my LCS, how much they were asking for these issues. I was like, that didn't seem right. They were like wanting $15 a piece for the issues, and they weren't in that good a grade. So the reason I went after the lot is because I have most of the series. I have the whole series except for number 2, which I was happy to get. Really decent book too. Not a whole lot long with it. It's probably like a VF. Great story. Oh my goodness, this story was so great. I kept telling myself, this should have been issue number 1. And I think number 1 should have been number 0, even though they didn't do that back then. And I really wanted number 1 because number 1 can go for some money, especially in a nice grade. Like this one is a nice grade. I think I averaged it out with these, probably around $17. This one is okay, but it really sets up the story. Like I said, George Perez is kind of just coming into his own with the style. He's not as great as he would be. And it's not bad art, but if you're familiar with George Perez, you're like, man, this should be better. But you have to understand, it's when he's really in his early career. But this wasn't a bad issue. It set up the whole premise for the story. But like I said, in number 2, it's like I felt like everything was unleashed in here. You had these huge monsters that were resurrected, these mechanical giants, and they're scooping up hundreds of people at a time, and they're eating them. It involves the Kree, it involves Blastar, and it's just complete action from beginning to end. And then the last page, there's like a subplot to one of the Inhumans, an ugly woman who just begs to go into the mist so she could be changed into something beautiful. And at the end, she comes out as a butterfly. It is just so cool, guys. So number 2, I think, as far as story goes, was much better than 1, but 1 is the issue to have because it starts out the series. So, well, thank you for joining me on this haul. I got quite a few coming up, so, check them out. I appreciate your comments and everything, and just appreciate the whole community. You guys are awesome. Nighttiger, gone.